Alright, welcome to yet another edition of Huckins on Film. I'm your host, Kyle Huckins, and I just saw the Bourne Legacy. Alright, gonna take it from the top the way movies would. We're gonna start with the trailers. So, I've seen this one a few times, I just keep forgetting to talk about it. The trailer for Oz by Sam Raimi. It looks like it's a prequel to The Wizard of Oz, done by Disney, in 3D. I don't know that I care too much about The Wizard of Oz or anything Sam Raimi does that isn't a horror film. But visually speaking, I want to see this. I think it looks fantastic. Just visually. I just think it's a gorgeous looking film. And also, since it's in 3D, it looks like there are parts that are just gimmicky as hell. There's one part where you see the horde of flying monkeys all flying toward... I want to catch that. That looks like it could be interesting. See, another one was This Is 40, the sequel to Knocked Up. I've never seen a Judd Apatow movie, so I don't really care. Yeah, you can tell me if he's good, but whatever. I've never watched his work. I know fuck all. So, I really don't have an opinion. I'm not that interested. A few other movies. And honestly, there's an Ang Lee one. I honestly don't remember the title, but it looks like it comes out. That's when it comes out around Christmas. It looks like it's about a guy who's actually a boy who survives a shipwreck, and it was a zoo ship. And he survives on a lifeboat along with a tiger, and apparently they form a bond and help each other survive. I mean, it's an Ang Lee film. Visually, it looks really nice. Although the CGI is a bit too obvious. I mean, I understand you can't stick a real tiger on a boat with someone and expect it to go well. I totally get that. But, I don't know, it's a little too obvious. Also not my kind of movie. And, another one... I need to start writing stuff down. My memory's crap. Another one was Robert Zemeckis' latest film. Again, I forget the title. It's about a pilot who has a plane crash, manages to save pretty much everyone on the plane, but he had alcohol. So it's a Robert Zemeckis film. And honestly, I swear to God they asked Tom Hanks to play Denzel Washington's role, and he just couldn't make it. Because this looks like every Robert Zemeckis, Tom Hanks Oscar bait film. And I don't care. I just don't care at all. Okay, there's one trailer I'm forgetting. But the first trailer was actually the piece de resistance. The full trailer for Dread. Sorry, I have to giggle because this movie looks awesome. Sorry, I'm a Dread fanboy going back almost 30 years now. Ever since I stumbled upon Dread while on a trip to Ireland, I've been a huge fan. This movie looks so good. I seriously, this isn't me playing up for the camera. I giggle when I think about this movie because it looks fantastic. From what I've heard, it looks a lot like the Indonesian film The Raid. I never saw The Raid. I heard great things. It's on my list. But, oh God, it looks so good. And it's not really a spoiler. Well, first of all, it's a trailer, and he's going to say it in the movie, but in the trailer, they show Carl Urban say, "I am the law." And you fucking buy it. Carl Urban's looking like, yeah, I'll show you how to do Dread Stallone. So this looks like it's going to be fucking phenomenal. Like, I know it's next month. I can't wait. I said, I can't watch the trailer without just giggling like a schoolgirl. And just, like, throwing up the Dio horns 15 or 16 times a minute. So, yeah, I'm really psyched for that. Also, wasn't in the trailers, but on Thursday, Riff Tracks, Mike Nelson, Bill Corbett, and Kevin Murphy from Mr. Science Theater are doing live riffing of Manos, the Hands of Fate. I got tickets to that shit. I am so fucking there. I'm looking very forward to that, but I can't lie. I'm looking so much more forward to Dread. That movie just looks insane. Anyway, let's get to the Bourne Legacy. I dug it. Pretty good successor to the Bourne films. Definitely some obvious differences. Not just the fact that Jason Bourne isn't even in it, much less Matt Damon. He's been replaced by Jeremy Renner, who plays Aaron Cross. I was fine with that because, hey, I've watched The Hurt Locker, I've seen The Avengers. If there's one thing Jeremy Renner does well, it's intense. So I was pretty psyched to see him. Now, if we could just get that live-action Hawkeye movie, I would kill for. Because the trailers for this are a bit misleading. This is not nearly as much of a straight-up action film as you would think. Kind of like how Drive's trailers made it look like real straight-up action flick, and it's totally not. It's got a much slower pace to it. Slow almost feels like the wrong word, but it's very deliberate. It doesn't waste time, but it's not nearly as frenetic as the previous Bourne movies. There's no shaky cam. I mean, honestly, the shaky cam didn't bug me with the Bourne flicks, but if that was a problem for you, you don't really have to worry about it here. It's not really present. Although I'm not going to lie, during some of the action scenes, holy crap, there were so many cuts. It was getting a little out of control. I mean, it worked out fine. It didn't hurt the film, but definitely very, very quickly cut. Like, just crazy amount of cuts. Again, didn't hurt to the film. It definitely quickened the pace, but for the most part, this is a very, it's more methodical. It's more about everyone trying to piece together what happens. There's a slow build up to everything happening. It's whatever this program. I forget the name. It's going to get a little. I'm going to keep the spoilers to a minimum, but there are going to be a few coming up. This is basically an offshoot of Treadstone from the original Bourne trilogy. And there are leaks. Things start to go public. So the government tries to shut it down with extreme prejudice. And it doesn't quite work. This is actually a little crazier than Treadstone, because they're actually using various drugs to enhance their agents both physically and mentally. In fact, I kind of wish they could have run with this a little more. There was they were kind of developing an addiction subplot in there, but they didn't really develop it or go too crazy with it. It wasn't terrible, but I feel like they could have done more there. Then again, this film was already 2 hours and 15 minutes. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, it goes quickly. You're not looking at your watch the whole time. It keeps you interested. Mostly because, well, then again, like I've said, I can watch Jeremy Renner do anything. I just love watching the man work. I don't know that he's the most versatile actor, but he's very good at intense. And the main bureaucrat who's trying to take him down and shut the project down, is trying to clean everything up, is Ed Norton. I don't think I have to talk about Ed Norton's resume to know that, yeah, he's good. Apparently he's a gigantic pain in the ass to work with, but he's, again, I think he's more versatile than Renner, but he's also very good at playing very intense characters. Without just, going into campy, overacting hysterics. He's intense, but he's not about to come through his own face at you. Note to self, make a 3D movie where that happens. Yeah, I need to do that. And naturally the cleaning doesn't totally work. They're unable to kill Aaron Cross, and they're unable to kill one of the doctors from the project, who Cross manages to get in touch with. Plot holes averted. It actually made sense how he was able to find out about her. It wasn't one of those where it's just how, what, why? No, it made sense. She was one of the, the lab she was in, one of the scientists actually shot the place up and committed suicide, as he was supposed to do, but that was the one problem I had with this. It didn't really explain why. I mean, you get why he killed himself, but as for that felt a little unfinished to me. I mean, he's a relatively minor character, even though he does play this big part in the whole scheme. So I'm not going to complain too much, but I wish they could have fleshed out his motivations a little better. Again, it's probably my biggest nitpick of the whole movie, and it really didn't bother me. The opening sequence is really well done. It's Renner just on a training exercise up in Alaska. And it almost turns into a miniature version of The Gray, which honestly I've only seen the trailers and commercials. I still have yet to see the movie. But yeah, it's basically a guy, lots of snow, wolves. And honestly, who doesn't want to see an action flick with Liam Neeson and Jeremy Renner? Come on, that would be awesome. Get a decent script, good director, and just watch those two be intense and kick more ass than A Small Country. Yeah. I should have said kick more ass than the Netherlands Red Light District, but I'm a dumbass. But anyway, Renner runs into a fellow agent up there. And they're just talking. And of course, while they're up there, that's when things go south. Well, all the agents have tracking devices inside themselves. He manages to find a way around it. I'm not going to spoil it, but it, again, well, one little part of it's kind of a minor, you sure about that? But again, it's one of those, like, it's minor, and honestly, yeah, I guess it could work. There's a lot to do with pharmacology and virology in this. It didn't bother me, but I mean, I can't tell you how accurate any of it is. Some of it could make perfect sense. It could be total crap. Honestly, I didn't really care about that one way or the other. But it made sense. Now that was, for all the stuff that was going on, they managed to keep the plot pretty constrained. You know, there are a lot of parts where you don't get why he's doing certain things, but they're like, oh, okay, I see it. You know, the dots are connected. It's fairly linear. You know, you do get into Cross's past, and like Bourne, you know, that's not even his real name. In fact, getting back to the pharmaceutical thing, you find out why Renner is so interested in it. Because, I mean, the pharmaceutical part is basically they call them chems. There's 2 pills. One of them improves you physically, the other improves you mentally. And you get why Renner's so interested in that. And he has a very good reason. I'm not going to give that away. Honestly, I'm really going to try to avoid spoilers in the movies I like. I mean, if I think it's a piece of crap, then yeah, I will warn you with all extreme prejudice. And end up with a 46-minute review. But I'm not going to do that here. And also ties into the previous film, because they had, Bourne's picture shows up in it. They also brought back the actors who played the CIA director from the Bourne flicks, the dude with the greasy hair and the glasses. I blank on his name. And the one higher up who was helping Bourne, Jessica Lundy, actually appears in it briefly. But the one thing I didn't like is, it's another one of my minor nitpicks. It obviously takes place after the Bourne supremacy, but you don't know when after the Bourne supremacy. I would have liked the time frame, but I'm kind of anal like that. Like I said, it's a minor thing. It doesn't hurt the film at all. It's just bit of anal retentive bookkeeping by me, just the way I am. But all in all, it was, like I said, don't go in expecting a straight up action flick. The only real action sequences are there's like the big ones towards the end, obviously. And other than that, there's only really the one other. The rest involves a lot more duplicity. Honestly, it kind of plays out a bit like an episode of Burn Notice. There's more BSing than bullets and bombs. And when done right, that can be a beautiful thing. It's been about 20 minutes now. I think it's really all I've got. Like I said, I don't want to spoil too much. I do wish a few things were a little more developed. But then the film could have gotten really long, so they probably cut it out for pacing. Maybe there'll be a director's cut where they expound on some of this. I'd like to see it, but again, if that's what they did cut, they knew what to cut. So, yeah, overall, I'd say if you want intense, you want to watch this just for Renner and Ed Norton. Although Norton's not in it a ton. I mean, he plays a big role. He's certainly present in the film, but he's just not in it a whole lot. I mean, he's in it a decent amount, but not a lot. You know, Reiner's, well, obviously he's the focus, but you know, Reiner's kind of on one side of the world and Norton's on the other for the second half of the movie. Although there's one thing that did annoy me. Naturally, to take out Cross towards the end, they bring in a super soldier. And he's on a different program where they've managed to chemically increase loyalty and decrease empathy. Now, basically this means they've managed to chemically create a monomaniacal sociopath. Believe it or not, that is the last thing you want in a soldier. You don't want a guy who is so focused on the goal that it's a little hard to keep him on the leash. And if he lacks empathy, he doesn't care who gets caught in the crossfire. In other words, he can be very reckless. I mean, taken to its extreme, basically, they chemically created the Joker. Obviously, they didn't go nearly out that far, but what they actually were trying to do to create the perfect soldier is a bad idea. Very bad idea. But it did lead to the final chase scene. And honestly, by the end of this guy's just... He reminds you of Mad Dog from John Woo's Hard Boiled. If you've never seen that, hit pause, watch Hard Boiled, finish this afterwards, because that's way more important than my review. That is a fantastic movie. But yeah, there's a character in it named Mad Dog, and the guy takes quite a bit of punishment in that movie, and he's like a T-800. He just keeps coming. And this character's really badass. Unfortunately, I don't know if this guy even speaks in the movie. It's another one of those, I totally could have fleshed him out better, but he wasn't even a character. He was a plot device that was really good on a motorcycle. You know, like I said, there's stuff that could have been fleshed out better here. I keep repeating myself. Sorry about that. But all in all, it's a good flick. I recommend it. And yeah, I'm going to shut it down now. It's been long enough. Alright, this is Kyle Huckins for Huckins on Film. I'm fucking off.